My sister Emma, the golden child, tripped on her pedestal and the world stopped spinning. Mom and Dad threw her a pity party, but I, Jake, was the one who pushed her. Emma was always the sun in our family's universe. Perfect grades, perfect smile, perfect everything. At 17, she'd racked up more awards than our small-town high school had walls to hang them on. Debate champion, valedictorian in waiting, and the star of every family photo. Me, I was the shadow, the B student older brother who couldn't even get a participation trophy for track. At 19, I was home from my first year of college, flunking out and dodging questions about my future. Emma's light burned so bright it left me invisible. But last spring, something unthinkable happened. Emma lost. Not just a small loss, but a spectacular, public crash and burn at the state debate championship. She'd prepared for weeks, memorizing stats, practicing her gestures in the mirror. I'd watched her pace our living room, muttering arguments about climate policy like a general preparing for war. She was untouchable until she wasn't. Her opponent, a quiet kid from a rival school, dismantled her case with a single, devastating statistic she couldn't counter. The room went silent as Emma stammered, her face crumpling like a deflated balloon. The golden child had met her kryptonite. I wasn't there, but I heard every detail from Mom's tearful phone call. "She's devastated. Jake." Mom sobbed. "We're bringing her home." I could hear Dad in the background, already planning how to fix it. Fix Emma. Fix their perfect daughter who'd never needed fixing before. I should have felt sorry for her. Instead, I felt a twisted spark of satisfaction. For once, Emma wasn't the hero. When they got home, Emma locked herself in her room. Mom and Dad hovered outside her door like anxious bees, whispering about how to make her feel better. I sat on the couch, pretending to read, but really listening to the chaos I'd indirectly caused. See? I knew something they didn't. That quiet kid who beat Emma, I'd tipped him off. It wasn't planned. Not really. A week before the competition, I'd been at a coffee shop, drowning in my own failure after getting my midterm grades, 2 Ds and an F. The kid, Ryan, was there, hunched over his laptop, muttering about debate prep. I recognized him from Emma's endless rants about her tough competition. He looked stressed, so I struck up a conversation. Maybe I was bored, maybe I was bitter. But when he mentioned struggling with his climate policy argument, I casually dropped a stat I'd overheard Emma practicing. Global carbon emissions from fossil fuels hit 37.1 billion tons in 2022. It was a throwaway line, something I'd heard her repeat 100 times. I didn't think much of it until he used it to crush her. Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't hate Emma. She was my little sister, and I loved her in that grudging, sibling way. But years of living in her shadow had built a quiet resentment, like rust eating away at metal. Every "Emma's so talented" or "why can't you be more like her" from our parents had left a mark. So when I saw a chance to level the playing field, I took it, not to hurt her, but to remind everyone she was human. By the next morning, Mom and Dad had a plan. "We're throwing Emma a party," Dad announced at breakfast, his voice overly cheerful. I choked on my cereal. A party. For losing, Mom shot me a look that could have melted steel. "It's not about losing, Jake. It's about supporting her. She's never faced this before." Emma, still in her pajamas, sat silently at the table, her eyes red and puffy. She didn't look like the golden child anymore, just a tired, defeated girl. The party was set for Saturday, and 3 days later, Mom went into overdrive, ordering balloons, a custom cake, and a banner that screamed, "You're still our star," in glittery letters. Dad invited half the neighborhood, framing it as a celebration of Emma's resilience. I watched the preparations with a mix of disbelief and guilt. This wasn't support, it was a circus, and Emma hated it. I could see it in the way she flinched every time Mom mentioned the guest list. "Jake, you're helping with setup," Dad said, tossing me a bag of streamers. I wanted to argue, but the look in his eyes told me resistance was futile. So I spent Friday taping decorations to our living room walls, feeling like I was decorating for my own crime scene. Emma barely spoke to me, but when she did, her voice was sharp. "You think this is funny, don't you?" she snapped, catching me smirking at the banner. I didn't answer. What could I say? "Sorry I sabotaged your debate instead," I muttered. "It's just a party. Chill." But it wasn't just a party. It was a spotlight on Emma's failure, and I knew it. The guilt started to gnaw harder. I hadn't meant for it to go this far. I just wanted her to stumble, not crash. By Saturday afternoon, the house was a riot of color balloons, streamers, and a cake shaped like a gold star. Neighbors trickled in, offering awkward condolences disguised as compliments. "You're still a winner," Emma, one lady said, patting her shoulder. Emma forced a smile, but her eyes screamed discomfort. I stayed on the edges, refilling punch bowls and avoiding eye contact. Every time I saw Emma, the guilt twisted tighter. She didn't deserve this public humiliation dressed up as support. I'd wanted to knock her down a peg, not break her. Around 7 p.m., Mom pulled Emma to the center of the room for a speech. "We're so proud of you," Mom said, her voice thick with emotion. "This setback doesn't define you." The room clapped, but Emma's face was a mask of misery. She mumbled a thank you and fled to the backyard. I followed her. She was sitting on the swing set we'd outgrown years ago, staring at the ground. "You okay?" I asked, knowing it was a stupid question. She didn't look up. "They think this fixes everything," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But it doesn't. I failed. Jake, I failed, and everyone's acting like it's a holiday." I sat on the swing next to her, the chains creaking under my weight. For the first time, I saw her not as the golden child, but as my sister, scared, human, and hurting. "I'm sorry," I said, the words slipping out before I could stop them. She glanced at me, confused. For what I hesitated. This was my chance to come clean, to tell her about Ryan and the stat. But the words stuck in my throat. Instead, I said, "For this, the party, it's too much." She nodded, her eyes filling with tears. "I just wanted to be good at something," she said, "and now I'm a joke." That hit me harder than anything. Emma wasn't just the golden child. She was a kid carrying the weight of everyone's expectations. And I'd added to it. I wanted to tell her she wasn't a joke, that she was still brilliant. But the words felt hollow after what I'd done. Instead, I just sat there, swinging in silence, the party's noise fading into the background. The next day, I found Ryan's number in my phone. I texted him, "You didn't hear that stat from me." "Okay." He replied with a thumbs up. No questions asked. I deleted the thread, hoping that buried my secret, but the guilt didn't go away. Emma started smiling again, slowly, but I could see the cracks. She wasn't the same confident girl, and I wasn't sure if she ever would be. Mom and Dad never threw another party. Thank God. They went back to praising Emma's every move. But I noticed something new. They started asking about my classes, my plans. It was small, but it felt like a shift. Maybe they'd seen the shadows too. Emma and I never talked about that night on the swings, but we started hanging out more, watching dumb movies, joking about Mom's cooking. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. Looking back, I don't know if what I did was right or wrong. I wanted to feel seen, but at what cost? Emma's fall wasn't just her loss. It was a mirror showing me my own bitterness. Maybe we both needed to stumble to find our way back to each other. What do you think? Was it fair to let the golden child fall? Or did I cross a line? Share your thoughts on justice, sibling rivalry, or the price of envy. I'm still figuring it out.